that's exactly what that is. It's a little,
Yeah, that's
a little round a bypass when you have incoming traffic. This road never gets any wider than this. So when you meet oncoming traffic, somebody's got to pull over somewhere.
Right.
Or back up. Anybody feel the need for speed back there? We're on a Jeep, so we might as well have some fun, huh?
Yep.
There are certain places where I can do that, but not everywhere, as you'll notice. Obviously, four-wheeling is generally a slow sport. Okay, see the ridge line here to the left?
Right.
Looks like a kind of a mountain ridge, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, that's 2,000 feet above us. It's the edge of that ridge.
Really?
And if you were to climb up there, it would feel like you're climbing a mountain. But when you got to the top, there's no other side. Because this is the edge of a giant plateau. The southern end of a huge plateau that was uplifted about 70 million years ago by Earth forces. And from here, all the way for hundreds of miles, the top of that plateau is, relatively flat, or gently rolling. It's
right.
The whole landscape is at a different level. From here, halfway up into Utah.
Oh, that's part of a plateau?
So the whole northern third of Arizona and the southern half of Utah are up on top of this big plateau.
Thank you.
And that's where Flagstaff sits.
Oh,
We're at 4,500 feet above sea level here in Sedona. Flagstaff sits at 7,200 feet. So
4,000 difference.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're below sea level? I didn't know that, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So while we get a little bit of snow and dusting here at night, in the wintertime down at this elevation, up on top of that plateau, they get a ton of snow. In fact, 100 inches or more every winter. Flagstaff, Arizona gets more snow in an average winter than Minneapolis, Minnesota, believe it or not.
Really?
60 inbound.
My carry is 3 to you as you like going too much from your deal. Thank you.
All right, we're going to stop twice, you guys, and get out of the Jeep. So I'm not going to keep you captive here for 2 whole hours. We'll get a chance to walk around and get some photos out of the Jeep at 2 special places. One, it's called Submarine Rock, and the other one is called Chicken Point. And down and fills up all of our dry creeks.
So this is a creek.
Yeah, this is a true creek, even though it doesn't have water in it. Most of Arizona's creeks don't have water this time of year. We're lucky to have one in Sedona that's got water year-round. Oak Creek, that runs right through the middle of the town, is fed by springs. So that one never dries up. And that's where the early farmers, or the guys that were lucky enough to homestead land along that creek, were able to grow apple trees and peach trees and apricot trees and vegetable gardens and make a living farming.
So this is like a watering hole, right? In the older days.
What's that?
This is where the water is. Like
Where?
Older days, the Sedona is?
No, Oak Creek.
where-
Well, like I say, Oak Creek is fed by springs, so it has water
Oh,
year
still.
round. And that's where the Native Americans went to get their water, and then they would haul it back to wherever their camp was. And away from the water, all the dry, like up here where this is all high and dry, this was ranching country. All around Sedona was cattle ranching, where you're away from the water. And those guys, the cattle ranchers, actually did dig out basins at, kind of beneath the cliffs where most of the water ran over.
Right.
So during the runoff season, that runoff water would fill up those basins. They call them cattle tanks. And it would hold water for 2 or 3 months, all through most of the summer, before they would eventually dry up. And if we have a good monsoon season, they get refilled. Late summer, July and August, is our wettest time of the year, where we get these afternoon rains every day.
Right.
At least we normally do. We didn't get a monsoon this year, but
So it's not monsoon. It's not every year then, right?
well, we're supposed to. I mean, that's part of the weather part and the climate in this area. But there are drought years. As you are well aware, right, in Southern California.
True.
In the last 2 years, we didn't get much of a monsoon at all. I can tell you the 15 years before that, we had a good monsoon.
True.
Where we get those afternoon rain. In fact, July and August are the only 2 months where we average over 2 months or 2 inches of rain for the month. Every other month of the year is less than an inch. So, or less than 2 inches anyway. Some of them are less than an inch. Which is probably hard to even understand when you live in New Jersey, huh? You guys get an inch of rain in a good weekend, or Saturday afternoon.
That's why it's called the garden state, right?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
73 up to the point, 73 up to the point. Oh, that's a big old rut that's got formed there. Okay, we're going to come back here later and continue the loop, but right now we take a little spur up to Chicken Point, then we'll come back down the same road. I need these sunglasses right now. It's awesome. Road better. Rock.
Yogi Bear.
See what I'm talking about, you guys? Everybody see that, Adam? You seeing that or no?
No, could you describe it again? Sorry.
The shortest spire in the middle of the gap.
Yep.
The next rock to the right is a tall, skinny one.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the slide profile, a Yogi Bear.
Yeah, with his hands down, right? Yeah,
And while he's looking out to the left, he's got a hat on his head,
Yes.
and he's got his little flat nose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see that.
It's, hey, boo-boo, where's the picnic basket? Kind of like that, Yogi. Are you seeing it, Bayan?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, okay.
Very cool.
Keep 60 up to the point, up from Yogi. Okay, here we go.
Yogi Bear.
Take people out and drive around that knob.
Oh.
And there would always be people in the Jeep that would insist on being let out. They didn't like heights, and they said, "You're not taking me out there." So we have to let some out. Whoever wanted to stay in the Jeep, they take them around the point. That was before I started working with these that. And then we pick up the chickens on the way out. And that's how I got the name Chicken Point.
I
It had nothing to do with this backing maneuver here, which, don't worry, I know exactly how far I have to go.
But now they put a big rock there so nobody can.
Yes,
control that, right?
exactly,
That's
exactly.
the
The Forest
purpose.
Service doesn't want anybody doing that anymore. See, that was before the heavy, litigation era.
Obligation.
We could probably get a pretty good picture. Well, anyway, I'll leave the door open for you. Yeah? When you're ready, come on out.
Wonder how a
Spider web.
It's floating in the air? Yeah. Yeah, I know. You see those big long streaks. And that is, they kind of,
I know, I hear you.
there's something about those. And the etiquette as far as, when you meet somebody on a hill like this, if somebody was coming around fast, and I had just started down and they had started up, they would have to back down.
Yeah.
It's the up.
Courtesy, huh?
The one coming down has the right of way over the Jeep coming up. So the Jeep coming up has to back down to allow because it's very difficult to back uphill.
That makes sense.
Oh, and he'll wait for me there, I think. Maybe, maybe not.
Wow.
You back up? Yeah, I'll be going right by you. Here we go. Is he gonna follow me or is he gonna go up?
Don't know.
Waiting there, it's kind of weird. All right, you guys ready for the most radical part of this trail coming up? We're gonna do a bunch of rock crawling now. Starting right here with this fun little angle. Come on, Floyd, you can do this. Oh, my Deep Floyd, because he's pink.
Oh, Pink Floyd, yes.
Anybody see a big whale here in the foreground? This first rock in front looks like a big old whale, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Just need some water sprout.
That's going to be heading up towards the point from the Y. All right, well, these are the mushrooms. The mushrooms are cool because they give me a chance to give you guys a little taste of what they experienced at Chicken Point back in the old days. We're going to go around the mushrooms. Isn't that fun?
Yes. Wow.
Okay, when we get on Submarine Rock, you're not going to be able to tell why it's a submarine, but now from this vantage point, you can see the big long red rock down there in the trees is Submarine, where we're heading next. We got all kinds of excitement in store. Top, or we're way up high and we get this beautiful panoramic view. Isn't this awesome?
Wow.
Looking down on the mushrooms now. And
Mushroom.
you guys are ready. We're gonna commit suicide here. That's what Jeeps do. We drive off cliffs. And right about here, we get at a 45-degree angle, which is the steepest angle we get at any tour we do, and it's pretty
45 degrees.
Pretty radical. 45, yes, indeed. Any steeper than that, you risk going over frontwards.
Has that ever happened?
No, not yet. I mean, it happens with people in Jeeps, yeah, all the time. They'll get, if they get at that angle, they'll sometimes, it depends, you know. Usually what'll happen is they'll start sliding sideways. But I've seen vehicles get, in fact, earlier today, right in front of, I'll show you, the climb up the sub rock was blocked for about 2 hours. Because there was a Jeep that had slid off the road and was sitting at an angle like this, which he was almost ready to tip over, but he had to get winched out. He couldn't move and nobody could get by him, so the road was blocked for a couple hours. They winched him out. He had to call somebody to come in with a winch, like not necessarily a tow truck, but they'll send in a Jeep or some four-wheel drive pickup or some vehicle with a winch and winch him out. But that's pretty radical, isn't it? That road, that little hump we just went off of. You normally wouldn't think about doing that with the vehicle, even with the Jeep. But with a high clearance, short wheelbase vehicle, you can do it. I wouldn't do that with a four-wheel drive pickup because they're too long a wheelbase.
Too long wheelbase, you're stuck in the middle, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You'll high center and then you're not moving.
This one. Okay. What? What was that, Adam? Did you say faster? Oh, yeah. I could have swore I heard him say faster. And here we have a little feature in front of us we like to call the Arizona speed bumps. Because these are the real deal when it comes to speed bumps. This is it's what you should see in the dictionary under speed bump, right? Yes.
Another one coming up. Get you guys up in the air in the back seat a little bit. A little bit, maybe. Oh man, I just love the golden light we get this time of day. Isn't that gorgeous? Lighting is special. When that sun gets low around here, we get this very, very special lighting on the rocks. this little stalk over here to the right?
Right.
That's what happens when the agave blooms. That's actually a flower. They shoot up that big tall stalk which grows really fast. The whole thing grew in about 2 weeks. Or blooms gorgeous yellow flowers at the end of those little branches for a couple of weeks and the whole plant dies. The last thing it does, and they grow 25, 30 years old before they bloom. They just do it once.
Yep.
The base of it dies too?
Yeah, the whole thing. The last, it's kind of a unique story in nature of those agaves. They just grow patiently and never do anything for a long, long time. See, they start out real small like this. They get a little bigger every year, but never produce a flower or do anything until the final spring. And then they, poof, they do it in a spectacular style. Whoa! Some nice little bonsais in here, huh? These junipers.
Yep. I think bamboo does something similar. 60 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you bloom once, then the whole bunch die.
Nice,
Because
huh?
actually just one, right? It's all connected underground.
Wow. Never knew that. After the flowers dry up, the seed pods underneath the flowers pop open and drop seeds. That's why you'll often see agaves cluster together, like over here to the left. You see a bunch of them together because those seeds just drop right down and don't spread very far.
I see.
Okay guys, what we have in front of us, what is probably the most famous part of this whole tour, most infamous part of this trail, that people talk about, you know, four-wheelers. Oh, often have guys in private jeeps will ask me about, where do we find the staircase, or how far to the staircase? We call it the staircase, but it's actually its real name is the Devil's Staircase, and also known as the Road of No Return. That's because you can go down, but you can't come up. And it is just like driving down a staircase, very much so. So you'll experience in a second. One of those places where most sane people would turn around and go back, right? Well, we can't go down
This is
this.
a second chicken point, right?
Yeah, kind of. Except there's no option of getting out of the Jeep on this one. You're stuck.
Oh, this is.
Well, you wouldn't want to miss this. I mean, this is something you don't do every day.
No.
Yeah. So, here's the first step of that staircase, right about there.
Oh, what's slipping? What's slipping?
Second step, right about there. Third step, there we come, right about there.
Travel staircase.
Yeah, I guess it is more, you're right, more of a controlled slide than actual driving
Yeah.
down a staircase. Pretty crazy, huh?
Yes.
Can't believe we just drove down that?
Oh my god. You're so good.
And just in case
Oh my god.
you didn't, over right here. I'll tell you what, Disneyland's got nothing on us.
Right.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit more excitement left. We still have this. Oh, right back there, it was around that turn behind us was where that Jeep was off the side of the road. At a very extreme angle. I don't know if the Jeep survived or not. That wasn't so bad, huh?
It was great.
Cindy? Not so bad? She's good. I don't know what she's saying. I don't know about that.
Rather friendly.
Here we go. The white spots you'll see on the side of Submarine Rock, all over this rock, are places where geologists say some kind of ancient sea life, like either some sea creature came up out of the sea up onto the beach when this was still sand,
Right.
and died, or some leaf or seaweed, some kind of plant life
Right. Is
ended
it,
up
is
on
it
the
big?
beach.
Is it big? Is it,
Was covered, well, you can see the size, it was covered with successive layers of sediment, and where that organic material, whether it was animal life or plant life, wherever it decomposed, it leached all of the oil, the sand, iron, out of the sand before it hardened to form stone. So when it later hardened and then started eroding, and the erosion process got down to those spots, there was no iron left. So there's kind of like little fossils, or big fossils, places where there was at one time ancient marine life.
so they're talking this little dune here, right?
This was actually, yes, at one point, exactly.
Ah,
Before it
this is
was
sea
rock, it
creature or
was a
sea
shallow
plant.
sand dune.
It's a vegetation or it's a sea animal? 可以吗，老婆？
Unreal, just the size of this thing. Like it could have been a seahorse or something, some kind of, but maybe, probably not. But it looks like it. This is probably seaweed. Here, see those white spots?
对，他说一定是当初在海底的时候，那他说白色的部分，然后它分解出来的那个 iron 以后，就变成有颜色。这个螃蟹，这只螃蟹，这个我要吃。这是史前的螃蟹。
什么鱼？
这是一个恐龙。
Everyone want to get a fun shot? Dan?
Yeah.
Come stand right here. Right here, perfectly straight line. And it goes all the way up the rock in both directions.
Four line?
Check this out. Listen. See that hollow spot? Yeah. There's places, little air pockets work underneath the top layer. Kids love this. They'll go tapping this rock the whole rest of the tour. But
Oh,
hollow.
it's hollow.
Not hollow. Hollow. Isn't that crazy?
That's
You
solid.
gotta give it a little distance, but you'll find hollow places. You hear?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it hits a hollow spot.
Where's the four line? A little crack.
这边那一条，
这个
这一条是直的。
哦，这条直
All
的。
right.
啊，走。
You found a new home, didn't you, Van? She's gonna stay here.
She's not going to want to go back to Jersey.
So many photo opportunities. Yeah, like we were looking, we were like, wow, the properties are actually as much as New Jersey, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I hear that about from Californians too. The same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not any different than California.
Yeah, well, 650 is not, no, for a standard, it's pretty, Yeah, I think it's a little bit above average, even in Southern California.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife was a real estate agent, so she knows it.
But the rest of the cost of living here isn't that high. Our utilities are right in line. Property taxes are probably lower than most other places because we get a lot of our the county and the cities and stuff get a lot of their income from sales tax rather than property tax.
I
And
see.
then food costs, it's pretty similar. I found when I go visit my friends or my family in Minnesota, actually produce is cheaper here because we're closer to California, and Mexico. So as far as things like, blueberries and avocados and things like that are much cheaper than in the Midwest. Milk is probably cheaper in the Midwest than here, but it's the food prices aren't bad, and gas prices, it depends, a little higher than in a lot of cities, but not that bad, and certainly cheaper than California.
Yes, well,
Gas prices are very high there.
well, actually, it's the gas tax is
Right, that's what causes the high price, right? Yeah.
Exactly, And they always says, hey, the hiking is for the schools, right? So nobody can say no.
Hiking is what?
The hiking of price is for schools, public schools.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
nobody, a certain percentage that go to schools.
The hardest part about living in Sedona is making a living in Sedona.
What's the most common profession in Sedona?
Well, it's all tourism.
Okay.
That's the sole industry. There's no other employer other than, in fact, the biggest employers are probably the resorts, and Pink Jeep is probably one of the big, we have like 300 employees. One of the bigger employers in
Obviously,
town.
like small business owners and stuff, right?
What's that?
Small
And obviously,
business.
Like small business owners.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
restaurants.
There's no big corporations in Sedona at all.
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of have this saying that the only people in Sedona with money are those that arrived with money,
Yeah.
and it's a popular place to retire.
Yeah.
And for wealthy people to have a second home or third home, a getaway place. Here it's been popular for a long time. In fact, about somewhere between a fifth and a fourth of the homes in Sedona are only occupied part of the year. They're not occupied year round.
Really?
They're getaway places for people. There's folks in Scottsdale or Phoenix that have summer homes up here because it's cooler in the summer. Much more tolerable than down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then there's folks from Michigan or New Jersey that might have a winter home here. Our neighbors, in fact, are gone. They're going to be coming back in another week or two and spending the winter here, but they're in Michigan all summer.
The winter here is pretty freezing cold, isn't it?
It gets cold, but mild compared to the Midwest and the East Coast. I mean, our daytime highs all winter long will get up into the mid 40s to 50s, upper 50s, sometimes even in the 60s, even in the middle of January. It gets cold at night. We'll certainly get down into the teens, and once in a great while, single digits for an overnight low. But our daytime highs always warm up. And the little bit of snow we get rarely lasts longer than a day. It's usually gone by the next afternoon after it snows at night. So they're pretty mild. I mean, we definitely in winter. That's our slowest time of year for tourism. It's very, not many people come here in the winter time, except over the Christmas week, between Christmas and New Year's, we're pretty busy. But otherwise, yeah.
getting it. We want to respect the neighbors by not using our speakers or loudspeakers when we get close to the neighborhood.